Welcome, friends. Hi, I'm Ashley. This is our free workshop that's all about how to read your human design chart, and it's going to be super fun. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys, and we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, how do I do this? Such a noob. Such a noob. Okay. Free workshop. Learn how to read your human design chart. That's why we're here. So what we're going to cover today, what human design is, how to discover your type, which sounds like most of you already know, but I'm going to show you actually how to see that in your chart. I'm going to show you the one thing you can do today to stop feeling so stressed out and have more ease and flow in your life. We're going to talk about how your chart can show you your unique gifts, talents, and fears, where you're the most susceptible to conditioning from the outside world, and where you can become the wisest version of you based off of your chart. We're going to talk about how your chart reveals your life journey. I'm going to announce the winner of the free chart reading, which was a little giveaway I was running on my Instagram account, Human Design with Ashley. And I'm going to share a way that we can dive deeper into human design together if you're interested. So get excited. It's going to be super fun. So if you haven't already, grab a notebook and a pen because you're probably going to want to take a lot of notes. And if you have not already, go to jovianarchive.com and get your free chart because you're going to want your chart handy nearby so that you can see it as we are going through this work together. So like this adorable little boy, we'll wait a second. Actually, we're not going to wait, but I'm going to tell you about myself while you're doing that. So hi, I'm Ashley, and my mission is to show you how living in alignment with your design can create magic in your life and effortlessly up-level your life and your business if you have one. I'm a projector. I have splenic authority and a 6-2 profile, and if you have no idea what any of that means, that's cool. We'll talk about it. I also have a master's degree in psychological counseling from Columbia University in New York City. And when I'm not reading human design charts, you can find me practicing yoga. I'm a certified yoga teacher as well. I've run 2 full marathons and 4 or 5 half marathons, so always training for another race. And I love me some Netflix. Schitt's Creek is my all-time favorite show. If you have not seen it, I highly recommend. And basically, I just live my best projector life. And we'll talk about what a projector means, but it's definitely been a work in progress. So I'm going to talk about how my obsession began with human design. You have a chat already? Yes, y'all. I love chats, so feel free to jump in anytime. Oh my God, Schitt's Creek's your favorite too, right? Isn't it amazing? I feel like I should be paid for advertising for the show because I talk about it all the time. I'm always telling everyone, you have to watch it. So good. Okay. Oh, no, there we go. So how my obsession began. It all started in my DMs, like all good things these days, right? Right. My friend Angela on Instagram, she messaged me and she's like, are you a projector like me? Because I see you struggling with a lot of the same things. Because at this point in time, I was talking on Instagram about how I felt like I was just constantly running my wheels and trying to force things and make things happen, and it wasn't working, and I was getting really burnt out, and I couldn't figure out why, and I was so tired all the time, and I felt like I needed to rest, but I shouldn't rest because everybody else was going at full speed. What was wrong with me? And so she messaged me and asked if I was a projector, and I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about, but I Googled because I am an obsessive Googler, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second because I want to talk to you guys. I Googled and I was like, what is projector? I don't know. And human design came up. So I entered in my birth info, my chart popped up, and I was a projector. So I messaged my friend back and I was like, I have no idea what this means, but I am a projector. And I sent her a screenshot of my chart and then the information that says you're a projector with splenic authority and a 6-2 profile. And I was actually driving. Well, I was at a gas station when I was doing this, and so I was on a road trip. And so when I got back in the car, I found some podcasts to listen to, and it was very interesting for me because I was searching on my phone for podcast about human design, and it was really hard to find some. I found a couple episodes that Jenna Zoe had been on, And so I listened to those in the car. And then when I got to where I was going, I started like YouTubing things and trying to Google and learn more about it. And I just felt like everything out there was very dense and hard to understand, or just not very helpful or like easily digestible. And so it was a frustrating process to try to learn more about it, but I was so interested in it, and I just like kept going. And that weekend, I ended up reading like all of my family's charts, and I was like, "When were you born? What time were you born? I need this information." Because I just like immediately was so fascinated by it. Um, and then it just went from there. Like over the next few months, I started reading all my friends' chart. I posted on Facebook if people wanted me to read their charts, and then it just kind of like evolved into what it is today. And so now I do chart readings for people, and I just created my first course, and I do these free workshops, and it's super, super fun. Your husband's a manifesting generator with emotional authority, and he has every center defined. I'd love to know if that has something to do with his very strong personality. Yes. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Um, oh my God, that's how it started with me as well. My friend Jenny reached out to me and totally allowed me to be vulnerable. Yay for empathetic friends. Totally, totally. Yeah. Isn't it funny how people just like, I don't know, it's like they're angels that just come into your life and you're like, this is what you need in this moment. And it changes everything. Like my friend Angela sending me that message totally changed the trajectory of my life, which is like mind blowing if you think about it. Anyway, okay. How my obsession began. Yeah, I bought the book, I watched the videos, I read the blog post, all of the things. All right, I need to go back and share my screen. You love how professional this is. Okay, so if you're brand new, what is human design? Human design is basically this really cool, complicated system that combines some ancient sciences like astrology, the I Ching, the chakra system, and the Kabbalah tree of life. It combines all of those with modern day sciences like quantum mechanics, astronomy, genetics, biochemistry, and physics. It's so crazy, but so, so cool. And because it combines all of those things, human design can be really complicated. So this workshop is really going to show you how to read your chart at a basic level, but then of course there's steps you can take after that, like going deeper and deeper. And like there's so many layers that like I'm still learning. I feel like everybody out there who's into human design is still learning because there's so much depth to it. Human Design was downloaded by Ra Uruhu in 1987 on Ibiza, which is an island off of Spain, during an 8-day awakening. So this man was in Ibiza, and I mean, who knows what he was doing there. I think he was on vacation. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Guys, stop. But he basically says he got this download from the universe, or from what he calls the voice, that told him, I'm gonna mute you guys. There we go, there we go. That told him everything about human design. So he got all of this information. Like, have you ever had that where you just like get a download from the universe? He got this download over the course of 8 days. That is everything that we know as human design today. And so as we get into this, you're gonna see how complicated and how complex and like interwoven it all is. And I just imagine like if I was him and having this awakening, this download from the universe about all of these things like the Kabbalah and the I Ching and biochemistry and neutrinos floating around in the air as these like tiny mass particles that hadn't even been proven by science yet, I would have been freaked out. So I just appreciate that he took this information and shared it with the rest of us. All right. I've been chatting to a couple of your personal training clients about this, and I'd love to have a sideline business doing this. I'm so fascinated. Yeah. I am so fascinated by it as well. And I've kind of made it like my mission now to share it with other people because, like I said, when I first got into it, I found it so hard to like find information that was easily digestible. And so I want to like share it with people and be like, these are like the building blocks. These are the important pieces. This is what you can take away from it. And this is how you can implement it into your life. And then we can share with other people. Like I talk about this in the PowerPoint in a little bit, but like, can you imagine if like from what I've learned, if I can share it with you, and then you can learn to read your chart, and then you can read the charts of your parents or your friends or your kids or your partner or your clients or whoever, and explain to them what it means, and then they start living according to their design, like how this ripple effect can change things. Like, it could change the world, and it makes me like so excited. So I'm like super jazzed to be here sharing this with you guys today. Okay, let's go back to my screen share. I need to stop like going back and forth, but I can't. Okay. Hope somebody's going to join us today. Come on in, Carrie.
Okay.
I'm going to mute you guys. Okay. Welcome. So when you go to jovianarchive.com or My Body Graph and put in your birth information, you're going to get a chart that looks something like this. This is my chart. And when you get this, you're probably like, oh my God, what does this even mean? I don't understand. There's so many numbers, there's so many colors and lines, and yours probably looks very different from mine, and that's perfect. That's how it's supposed to be. But when you look at this, especially in the beginning, you have no idea where to start. So I'm going to show you how I do things, or what I think are the most important pieces, okay? So we're going to start with the 9 centers. So this is your chart. This is basically a diagram of your body, and you'll see there's 9 different shapes. And sometimes the shapes are white, and sometimes the shapes are colored in, and that just depends on how you're designed. So in mine, you'll see I have 5 white shapes and 4 colored in. But each of these shapes are representing an energy hub, or based off of like the chakra system from the Hindu culture. So this top one is the head, and that's kind of related to your crown chakra. The next one down, the upside down triangle here, that's what human design calls your ajna, and that's your mind. So that's like your actual brain. This square is your throat center. This diamond is the G center. This red triangle here is your heart. This triangle is your solar plexus. This square is your sacral. This triangle is your spleen, and this bottom square is your root. So it just depends on your chart what these shapes look like, if they're colored in, if they have lines connected to them. Like, every single chart's going to be different, but they're all going to have these 9 centers. They're all going to have these 9 energy hubs within them. And depending on if they're colored in or not, will tell you more about yourself. So let's get into that. So a center can be open, it can be undefined, or it can be defined. An open center is one that doesn't have any gates. And a gate is just a line coming off of it. So see this 64 with a little black line, that's a gate. My ajna center here, this upside down triangle, has no lines connected to it. Do you see that? So that means it's open. My ajna center is completely open. My head center, though, has a gate coming off of it. So that is undefined because it's a center with 1 or more gates, right? It has a gate, this little line, but it doesn't have any channels. A channel now is a full line connecting two centers. So if a center has a channel coming off of it, like my heart has one and my spleen has one, that means that center is defined. So my spleen is defined because it has a channel connecting it to the heart, and the heart is also defined. My G center here is defined because it has this channel, this line connecting it to the throat. What's a good example? My sacral center is undefined. It has a gate coming off of it here and here, but that is not connected to any other center, right? There's no channel connecting it to anything else. So my sacral is undefined. Is this making sense? If it doesn't make sense, tell me in the chat and I can try to explain it again. But you have these 9 centers and they can either be open, undefined, or defined. Yes? Cool. So this will probably help a little bit more. So a gate is a line coming out of a center, but it's not a complete line connecting two centers. And a gate is going to act as an entry and exit point for energy and communication between the centers. Totally. Thank you, Trina. Thank you. So here you can see I have a gate coming off of my solar plexus right here. A channel is a complete red or black, or a combination of both, line connecting two centers. So this is a channel right here. And basically this is the line of communication between those two centers. And each channel that you have in your chart is going to represent a specific theme or a gift or a consistent way of processing information. So I have this channel connecting my heart and my spleen, and I have channel 1-8 connecting my throat and my G center. So you might have one channel in your chart, you might have 10 channels in your chart. If you're a reflector, you're not going to have any channels, right? Because if you have a channel, that means your center is defined, and reflectors have no defined centers, which we'll talk about more in detail. Open center energies and undefined centered energies. Perfect question. Thank you, Jenny. So an open center, like my ajna is open and my head is undefined, right? So an open center is where you have no gates. There's nothing connected to it. And that is a center where you have the potential to be very, very wise, because you don't have a set way, right? You don't have a set way of processing energy throughout that center. So my mind is completely open, which literally means I'm very open-minded, right? So that's the place where you have the most potential to be a wise person, but it's also the place where you can take on the stuff from other people, from your parents, from your coworkers, from your kids, from your partner, from society in general. Like, you can take on that baggage as your own. So it's really important to be aware of where you have an open or undefined center, and know that whatever you're feeling or noticing or thinking in that center is probably not your own. So for example, my solar plexus here is undefined. I have 2 gates coming off of it, but no channels. And so if something is undefined, it's also a place where you have the potential to be very wise, but depending on how many gates you have, those are, like we said, the entry and exit points for communication. So you're having some kind of way of processing here emotional energy. So I have 2 ways of processing emotions, but I also have the potential to be very wise emotionally. And if you have an undefined center, that's where you tend to take on the energy around you and amplify it. So if you have an undefined solar plexus like this, or a completely open solar plexus, you're going to take in the emotions of the people around you and you're going to amplify them. So you're going to feel those emotions so much stronger than somebody with a defined solar plexus, than somebody who has a colored in solar plexus. So for me, this has been such a game changer. This has been such a game changer because I can know, like, if, for example, I live with my sister. If she comes home and she's angry about something, I'm going to take that in, I'm going to feel that, and I'm going to like amplify that anger and have all of this like negative energy around me. So I have to realize that and know, okay, this is not my emotion. This is not my feeling. This is her. I'm just taking that on. And so it's been a process of learning that and being able to kind of let those emotions go and just recognize that they're not my own. So that's one way. But basically, if you have an open or undefined center, that's where you have the potential to be a very, very wise person. Okay. Cool. So channels connect to centers. Gates are just a single line coming out of a center, but not connecting 2 centers together. All right, so now that we have that base and we know what the 9 centers are and we know what gates and channels are, we can continue on and talk about the 5 types. And if you're all familiar with human design, this is probably what you know is your type, because this is like the foundational piece of it all. But I wanted to talk about the 9 centers first because we need that information to move into this. So the 5 types are manifestor, generator, manifesting generator, projector, and reflector. And your type is how you exchange energy with the world. So we did this a little bit in the beginning of the workshop tonight, but I'd love for you to put in the chat what your type is, if you know. As I said, I am a projector. Ooh. Projector, sacral manifesting generator, projector. Projectors in the house, yeah. Trina says you have undefined solar plexus also, and you're surrounded by emotional authority in your family. It's heartbreak. Yeah, that's probably very exhausting. Generator, projector, reflector. Tiffany, hey. Tiffany, you're my Tiffany. You're my Tiffany friend, right? I'm assuming. How many Tiffany reflectors are there in the world? Tiffany, I used your chart in my PowerPoint. I hope you're okay with that. Y'all, can you imagine? Can you believe we have a reflector? We have a reflector. Reflectors are very rare. They're like 1% of the population, and I know 2 of them. So I feel very blessed. Okay, so I can't believe I guess we don't have any manifestors. My friend Carly's a manifestor. I just recorded a podcast with her the other day that's going to be on iTunes soon. Somebody wants to come in. Terry. Ooh, 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 ooh. Okay. Cool. I love seeing all the types. This makes me so happy. All right. So now we're going to go through, oh, your daughter's a manifestor. My mom's a manifestor. Oh, welcome back, Terry. It's okay. Next time I do something like this, I'm not going to set up the waiting room because that's just annoying that I have to like manually let you in. You're welcome to come in anytime. Come and go as you please. Okay, so now we're going to talk about how to know what type you are just based on looking at your chart. Like if you put your information into the system, it's going to tell you, but I want you to learn how to see it so that then when you're looking at other people's charts, you can know what type they are. Cool? So manifestor. You have to have an undefined sacral center. Your sacral is going to be this square down here. If it's defined, it's going to be red. And if it's undefined, it'll be white. So a manifestor is going to have an undefined sacral center, and they're going to have a defined throat, which is this square here. So that's going to be colored in. And their throat is going to be connected to at least one motor. So if you'll remember, ooh, no, going the wrong way. Here on this slide, I put what the motors are. So your heart is the motor, your solar plexus, so your heart is here, your solar plexus is here, your sacral is here, and your root is here. So a manifestor is going to have an undefined sacral, but they're going to have a defined throat, and their throat is going to be connected to another motor. So their throat is going to be connected either to their heart, to their solar plexus, or to their root. Okay? So we're going to go to this manifestor chart. We're going to see their sacral's undefined. They have their throat defined. Their throat is not connected to their heart. Their throat is not connected to their solar plexus for this person, but it is connected to their spleen, which is then connected to their root. So it's an indirect connection, but it's still a connection, okay? So if they had this gate here connecting to their heart, they would also be a manifestor. If they had one of these lines here connecting to their solar plexus, they would also be a manifestor. Let's say they did not have this channel down here, this 18 to 58. If that wasn't lit up and they just had their throat connected to their spleen, they would not be a manifestor. It has to be connected to their root, solar plexus, or throat. Cool? So that's how you see a manifestor. I've heard if you have a lot of openness in your chart, you might have similarities to a reflector. That's true. My man is a generator with defined sacral and solar plexus. And the rest of his chart is open. Yeah. So if the rest of it's undefined, that means that he can be very wise in those areas. Like he can be a reflection for the rest of us within those areas. That's interesting though. Because I feel like in my mind, generators and reflectors are kind of like on opposite ends of the spectrum. So I don't know, I'd be fascinated to read his chart and to actually like look at it. Okay, so manifestors are pretty rare. They're only about 8% of the population. Historically, manifestors are the conquerors, the warriors, the rulers, the trailblazers. They are the ones who like go out and make things happen. They start movements, they take over countries, they're the kings and the emperors. So if you're a manifestor, your gift is that you are made to act independently. You're made to do your own thing. You're made to initiate things, and you're made to make an impact, right? You have this very strong, in a sense, it's like a repelling aura, but it's not a bad way. You just like push energy outward. And so that means most manifestors, if you meet one, you're either going to love them or hate them because they have such a strong aura that pushes this energy out. And because they have that strong aura, it can be misinterpreted by the rest of us that you are trying to control things. So as a manifestor, it's your job to inform other people. All of us have what human design calls a strategy. Your strategy is how you can best operate in the world and kind of like get along with other people. And for a manifestor, their strategy is to inform. They need to let us know when they've made a decision. So after they've made a decision, they have to tell us, but it's before they act on it. Otherwise, they're going to end up feeling, you're going to end up feeling angry, you as a manifestor, and the rest of us are going to feel very disrespected. We're going to feel like you're just walking all over us and doing things without telling us. So in order to feel less stress and more ease in your life as a manifestor, you need to make decisions and then let us know. The tricky thing is, I think a lot of manifestors have been raised to be people pleasers because they are so rare, and because, especially as children, like, can you imagine having a manifestor child? As Trina said, they're probably wanting to do their own thing all the time. They're wanting to like run across the street. They're wanting to like go do this other thing. And as a parent, you're wanting to keep them safe. But it's really this balance act between knowing like they are a manifestor, they are meant to initiate things and do things their own way and be an independent person, and kind of be that trailblazer for the rest of us. But they have to learn to inform. So famous manifestors, Hitler, which makes total sense when you think about it, like how he was trying to start this movement and like change the way the world operated. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, Maya Angelou, if you're familiar with online marketing and business, Marie Forleo is a manifestor, and George W. Bush. She's an adult now. Yeah. Okay, generators. Generators are interesting. So generators are going to have a defined sacral center here. This red square is going to be colored in for all generators, but they're not going to have a motor connected to their throat. So their throat can be colored in as this one is, but it's not connected to their heart, it's not connected to their solar plexus, and it's not connected to their root, right? Oh, somebody's trying to come in. Oops, oops. This is the box I needed to uncheck. I figured it out, y'all. Don't put people in the waiting room. Okay, we're good. Whew. All right. So generators, they have a defined sacral center, but no motors are connected to their throat. Generators are going to make up about 37% of the world population. If you're a generator, I like to call you a worker bee, and this is not a bad thing at all. I was reading a chart for one of my friends at work, and she got so offended and like disappointed when she found out she was a generator. She's like, well, that's no fun. I'm just here to work. And I was like, no, it doesn't mean that. It means you're meant to do work that you love and that you have this consistent energy to always be working. But when you're doing what you love, it doesn't necessarily have to feel like work. But generators do play the role of the builders in our society. They're the worker bees. They're the ones out there like building and making things for the rest of us. And when a generator is acting in accordance with their design, they're going to love the work. they're going to love to work and they're going to love the work that they do. And they are meant to use up all of their energy every single day. So really, if you're a generator, you should be going to bed exhausted. Whereas the rest of us, us projectors, reflectors, and manifestors, we need time to unwind and kind of decompress. Other people are drawn to generators because they have this energy that attracts us like a magnet to them. And your gift is your ability to perfect or master a task, project, or skill. And so we talked about manifestors. Their job is to inform, to let us know when they've made a decision. A generator's job is to respond to life as it happens to them, not to initiate things. But I want to do a little caveat here. This doesn't mean that you don't take action. Like, you can respond to anything. You can respond to a gut feeling. You can respond to a question. You can respond to a sound. You can respond to like anything happening around you. You just need something external to initiate it first, and then you can respond and say yes or no. This feels good, or this doesn't feel good. Famous generators. We have the incredible Oprah Winfrey, Ellen DeGeneres, Dalai Lama, Mozart, and Albert Einstein. Now, there's some debate in the human design world if a manifesting generator is its own type or if it's just a subtype of a generator. Personally, I like to think of them as their own type. But it's basically like a combination of a manifestor and a generator. So if you're a manifesting generator, you are going to have a defined sacral center, like the generator, right? That red box is going to be colored in. You are also going to have a defined throat, and that throat is going to be connected to a motor. So this manifesting generator friend has the defined throat and is connected to their heart right here. So unlike the manifestor would have this throat to motor connection, but they're going to have an undefined white sacral center. And a generator will have this red sacral center, but they're not going to have this throat to motor connection. Okay, does that make sense? So that's kind of the difference between those three types. Manifesting generators are about 37% of the population. And their aura, this is like my favorite analogy. It's like the warrior Buddha. It's this combination of like yin and yang energy. So they can move so fast at light speed for sustainable periods of time when it's something that they love. So they have to be really tuned in and really true to themselves. But then once they're tapped into that, once they have that, that decision or like things click for them, they're able to be like incredibly energetic and like moving forward. But every time they leap into something without waiting to respond, just like generators, they're going to meet resistance. So they have to learn that patience, right? That patience of the Buddha. But then once they respond to something that feels good, then they're able to kind of turn into a manifestor and initiate things and move forward. Manifesting generators can be the most erratic and impatient of all the types. So one video that I watched on this, they explained it so if you're a manifesting generator, right, you're sitting at home and just like watching TV or whatever, and you get a text from your friend, and then you're going to have this like response, either a yes or no, right? And that's from your sacral center, but you're going to get a yes or no response. So you're going to say, yeah, I want to answer that. So you're going to pick up your phone, you're going to text them back, and your friend says, hey, you want to go out tonight? You're going to respond, right? Yes or no. And then you're going to start getting ready, and you're like, do I want to wear my red shirt or blue shirt? And you're going to respond. And you're going to get in the car and go to wherever you're going. But then once you get there, if you like are walking in there and you get this hit, like this feeling of, no, I shouldn't go in, that's going to be like the final call for you. So at that point, you could either turn around and go home and like cut things off, or you could turn it in. Like, I feel like it's like locking in the energy. And that's where it's like, you've done all of the responding you need to do. And at that point, you've kind of like shifted into a manifestor where you can just like coast on forward. So manifesting generators do that constantly throughout their life. And that's why they can kind of be erratic a little bit if you don't understand them. Like they might have a lot of different things going on in their life. They might shift gears and do something completely different. So I'm going to show you the famous MGs we have. Angelina Jolie is my favorite example of this, because if you think of her, like her career is kind of so sporadic in terms of what she does. Like she's been an actress and she's been in all these different relationships with very different people. She's also big into like humanitarian work, and she's also into adoption, and she's also a director, and like has all these different things going on in her life that aren't necessarily related, but it works for her because she has that generator piece of doing things that she loves. And then she's able to like tap into that manifestor energy and be really good at a lot of different things. So I hope that makes sense. Projector. Here's my chart again. You know if you're a projector because you have an undefined sacral center, so it's not colored in red, and you don't have any motors connected to your throat. So my heart's not connected to my throat, my solar plexus is not connected to my throat, and my root is not connected to my throat. So I'm a projector. Ta-da! Projectors are about 20% of the population, and projectors are here to be a guide for the rest of us. If you're a projector, you tend to see the big picture. Jenna Zoe has a great analogy of in the forest or the animal world, projectors are the birds sitting up in the trees watching everything. So you kind of have this bird's eye view of life. You see the bigger picture. You can easily recognize the talents and gifts of other people, and you're really good at bringing people together. But because you're able to see so easily into other people, like projectors have a very like penetrating aura. You're able to like see into the core of another person. What we tend to crave most as projectors is to be seen for who we are. Like we want that from other people. And so our job, how we can feel more ease and stop stressing out so much and stop forcing things, is to wait to be recognized and invited by other people, which is so hard. It's so hard, you guys. But if someone else can recognize you and see the gifts that you have to offer and see how you're able to help them, then they can invite you. And an invitation can just be like, it can be a question, or it can be somebody like pointing out these gifts that they see in you. Once they invite you, then that's your permission to move forward. If you try to do something without being invited or recognized first, you're going to meet a lot of resistance, and you're probably going to end up feeling really bitter. And if you're a projector like me, I'm sure you can think back to so many times in your life when you tried to initiate things and you tried to force things to happen, and you just ended up feeling better about it. I'm raising my hand right now. But that doesn't mean you have to wait for like every single thing. Like you can go to the grocery store whenever you want to. Waiting for the invitation, it's generally going to apply to 4 main areas of your life. I took one of them out, but basically it's love, career, connecting with other people. So like relationships, and a place to live. So for those really big things, you do need to wait for an invitation from someone or from the universe in some way before you move forward. Because if you try to initiate too much, you're going to meet that resistance and end up feeling bitter. Some famous projectors. We have Nelson Mandela, JFK, Queen Elizabeth, and Barack Obama. And I love these examples because I think sometimes when we find out we're projectors, we might feel like we just have to sit and wait forever and that we can't do big things in life, and that's not true at all. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I'm so sorry, guys. That was my sister leaving, and that's her dog barking because he's mad. Okay, moving along. Reflectors are the last type that we have, and I love that our friend Tiffany's here because this is Tiffany's chart. Tiffany is a reflector. If you're a reflector, it's super easy to know because when you look at your chart, you have no defined centers. Nothing is colored in. But as you can see, Tiffany has lots of gates. She has lots of lines within her chart. So she has like energy flowing, but she just has a lot of open centers where she's able to be kind of a clean slate. She's able to be a mirror and reflect back to us who we are. So reflectors are amazing. Let me just go to the next slide. Reflectors are less than 1% of the population. They're very rare. And your 9 undefined centers really allow you to magnify the frequencies of everyone and everything around you in your environment. So reflector, your job is to be very aware of your environment. Like that's kind of your gauge for everything. Like you need to enjoy your environment. You need to feel good about it. It needs to feel beautiful for you. It needs to feel healthy for you. Louis Gizmo. Oh my God. Guys, I'm so sorry. Louis. I'm going to mute my microphone for a second, all right? Okay, hopefully he's done. That makes so much sense. You always wanted to move to New York City and waited to get into art school and got in. Yeah, you got that invitation and you got to go. But I bet if you had like tried to force it before that, it wouldn't have worked. Okay, reflectors, let's continue on with you. So the real magic of reflectors is expressed best in the newness and freshness and surprise that they experience every day. So if a reflector is living according to their design, they're gonna like have this sense of like, what am I trying to say? Like this newness, this freshness, like every day is a brand new day and there's so many possibilities and there's always something more that could happen and it's always exciting because they're like completely open, like they're open to it all. So like I said, for my head center, my head is completely open, like I'm very open-minded, but a reflector is like that in every single area of their chart. But because they have these open or undefined centers, they take that energy in and they amplify it, right? So that's why they have to be so aware of their environment because they're taking all of that on. So if you're in an environment where everybody's really stressed out all the time, you're gonna feel even more stressed out than they are, even if you're not really stressed out. So reflectors have to be very careful about who they're surrounding themselves with and what they're surrounding themselves with. So once a reflector is invited to make a decision, their strategy is to wait a 28-day lunar cycle. And that's because they have so many open centers within their chart or undefined centers. And they need to kind of release that conditioning. They need to wait those 28 days in order to process everything and able to get to an answer that's actually true for them and is not just a reflection of what other people want for them. And a reflector's job is to be accepting of other people and to reflect the truth. I love it. Okay. Any questions before we move on? Here are some reflectors. Sandra Bullock, Fyodor Dostoevsky, Rosalind Carter, H.G. Wells, and Scott Hamilton. So I did this workshop a while ago and Scott Hamilton is a reflector. That's what it says in my book. And so I was Googling pictures of Scott Hamilton because in my mind, he's the figure skater, right, from the Olympics. And then all of the pictures I found of Scott Hamilton were not the same Scott Hamilton. And so I didn't want to put that in my PowerPoint because I'm like, what if it's the different Scott Hamilton that's the reflector and not the figure skating Scott Hamilton? Who knew there was more than one? Who knew? I don't know. Okay. Any questions? Everyone cool on their type? Because we're going to move right along. Oh, wait. Next, we're talking about our profile, okay? Oh, it's 7:46. All right, we got to keep going, guys. I was really smart when I made this. It's like I knew what I was doing. Okay, I'm going to share my screen again. So your profile is another piece of your chart. And I wanted to put this in here because most sites will tell you what your profile is. Like my chart says, oh, you have a 6-2 profile. But I'm like, okay, how do I, like, one, what does that mean? And how do you know that? Like, how do you figure out what somebody's profile is? So first of all, what is a profile? I like to call it your life journey, but in my book, the Human Design book, it calls it the costume of your purpose. So some people explain it as like the role that you're here to play, like in this theater production of life. You did your kid stars. We're all different in your family. Is that why we go crazy with each other sometimes? Yes, that could be the case. Tell us what everyone is, like their type and their authority, and even their profile if you want, and we can chat about it. So your profile it's your life journey. It's the role that you're here to play. And it can either be something that's really uncomfortable for you, or it can feel totally natural. So if it feels one way or the other, that's not a good or bad thing. It doesn't mean it's wrong, or like you're doing it wrong or anything like that. It's just one way that you're a unique person. And I love it because like there's a lot of projectors on here on this call, but if we have different profiles, it's going to the way that we live our life is going to show up much differently. So I'm a 6-2 profile. So if somebody else is a 4 or 6, we might do things differently, versus if there's a generator on who has a 6-2 profile like me, we might understand each other really well because we're both the 6-2 profile. You're a 3-6. Oh my gosh, you're the second 3-6 I've ever met. That's a pretty rare one. You're a 2-4 profile. Cool. If y'all, if you don't follow me on Instagram, I would recommend going to my Instagram, Human Design with Ashley. I did a whole series on profiles and wrote about each one and what it meant. But yes, a 3-6 is kind of hard. I'm sorry to say. I think the hardest profile is, from my perspective, is probably the 3-5. Terry, you're welcome. You didn't receive the hard. I mean, it's right. It can either feel uncomfortable or it can feel totally natural for you. Okay, let's move along with this, and I'll explain it a little bit more. So when your profile is combined with your incarnation cross, which is another piece of it all, it can allow you to live your life purpose, or like kind of get a better understanding of your purpose and why you're here and what you should be doing with your life. So here's how you can discover your profile. This is a quote from the book. It's a combination of the line level definition of the conscious personality sun, black, and the unconscious design sun, red. This is what I mean by when you're trying to learn human design, it doesn't make sense. Like I can read those words and I'm like, okay, what does that actually mean? So I'm here to translate for you. So the line level definition is the decimal point here, right? The 2 and the 6. So my profile is, because it's 6.6, we're going to take that second number, 0.6 and 0.2. So my profile is the 6, 2. So if yours is a number 0.4, something 0.1, you're going to be a 4-1 profile. If yours is something 0.3, something 0.5, you're going to be a 3-5 profile. Okay. And if you're interested in learning more about what the conscious personality and unconscious, I did that wrong, you guys. This is supposed to be conscious is supposed to be, oh no, that's right. That's right. I'm just stumbling over my words. But if you're interested in learning about the conscious and unconscious pieces and how these numbers are figured out and what all these signs mean, I talk more about that in my course. So that's how you actually discover your profile. And then there's 6 numbers, so it could be 1 through 6, and then all the combinations. So there's 12 combinations of that. So these are the themes or the primary roles of the profile. I'm a 6-2, Marielle. So you start with the black number. So you're going to start with the one on the right-hand side, and it's the point whatever, and then you're going to go to the one in the red on the left-hand side. Got it? Because the black numbers here are the personality. That's the conscious piece. That's what you know about yourself. And the unconscious is the red here. So that's going to be the second number in your profile. So that it might be the piece that you're not really aware of. I honestly like identify a lot with my unconscious piece, even maybe more so than my conscious piece, which is interesting. That could be like a whole therapy session, right? But yeah, I think it just depends on like your life experiences and how things have kind of worked out for you. But these are the numbers, and I did them backwards on purpose because when you're learning more about profiles and everything, there's a whole analogy of like building from the ground up, or it's a house, and the one, the investigator, is really the foundation. So I wanted to do that one at the bottom because that's the foundational piece, and then it builds up from there. So if you have the one in your profile, that means you're the investigator. And that means you really like facts, you really like research, you like having this metaphorical foundation for your life. You like to feel really solid about things. So if you're an investigator, you probably like to do research, you like to learn things, you like to gather all of your facts and have things planned out pretty solid before you move forward. The two is the hermit. The hermits, I guess it makes sense when you think about what a hermit is, but it's basically somebody who likes to be alone and do their own thing and doesn't really notice that other people are watching them. And you might not know like how to explain how you know what you know or how you do what you do. Like it just all kind of comes naturally to you. The three is the martyr. This is why I think this one's hard. The martyr basically means you're here to make a lot of mistakes. You're here to learn through what they call trial and error. I like to spin it to be like trial and experimentation. But basically like just make mistakes, and that's what you're here to do. And actually you can become very wise because of it. Like you can get a lot of experience, and you're here to like show us what does and doesn't work. I love reading all y'all's profiles. A 2-4, the hermit makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense for me too. The 4 is the opportunist. And the opportunist is kind of, I like to think of them as the people person. They're like a social butterfly maybe, or they're a very good networker, or they're going to get, I don't want to say they're going to get further in life. A big piece of, a light bulb just went out, y'all. A big piece of their work here is to connect with other people, and like relationships are the key factor for them. The heretic is, I feel like this is the hard one. The heretic is somebody who the rest of us think that you can answer all of our questions, solve all of our problems, and save the day. And so we project this onto you. So if you have the 5 line, I feel like it's really hard because we're going to be like, oh my God, you can help me. You can fix this. You can save this. Like you're my answer to everything. And that might be true, but it might not be true. And so if you have this 5 line in your profile, you have to learn to distinguish like when you can actually help somebody and when you can't. So I tend to work with a lot of people who have the 5-1. So they're a heretic investigator. And so if they have the 1 line, they have to be able to solve these problems and answer these questions with a practical solution. They have to use their investigator piece. They have to like have done that research and have something practical to offer to other people. And if they don't, then they're not going to be able to help that person. And if they try, then it's not going to go well. And then it can like the book says, it's going to ruin your reputation. But like as a human, like if you try to do something and it doesn't work, like you're going to be bummed out. You're going to be disappointed. You're going to be embarrassed. You're going to feel ashamed. Like all of these feelings start bubbling up. This is why I love human design, you guys, because once you like know these things about yourself and you're like, okay, well, I'm trying to help people, but I don't really have this practical solution. I don't actually know how I can help them. And if I'm trying and it's not working, then I'm going to end up feeling embarrassed. And then it turns into this like snowball effect. But if you know this about yourself, then you can start acting in that way and it can like change everything. Okay. This is going much longer than I expected. I hope you guys can stay longer than an hour. The 6, this is the last one. The 6 line, it's a unique line. Anyone with a 6 in their profile, whether it's the first number or the second number, they're going to have 3 stages to their life. The first stage is ages 0 through 30-ish, 28, 30. And in this first stage of your life, you're going to act as a 3, 0. you're going to act. You're experiencing life as a martyr. So you're going through that trial and error process. You're bumping into things. You're making mistakes. You're figuring out what does and doesn't work. You might have a lot of relationships that don't work out. You might experience some trauma, like some hard things are going to happen in those first 30 years of your life. And then age 30 through 50 is the second stage of your life. And that's when you retreat. And for me, I'm a 6'2", so that's when I really become a hermit, which is the stage I'm in right now, and I love it. But you're going to retreat, and you're going to kind of take a step back, and you're going to process everything that happened in those first 30 years. You're going to learn those lessons. You're going to like integrate everything that has gone on for you. And then in the last chunk of your life is 50 plus. So after age 50 is when you're going to come out, you're going to like re-engage with the world, and you're going to become the role model here. And for me, this was so cool to learn, because I'm like, okay, I meant to be the role model, but that's really not going to actually come into play until I'm 50 years old. So right now I can just like enjoy and kind of relax and be the hermit. And like, not to say I'm not doing things, like obviously like I'm doing this workshop for you guys. I have a job. I'm like out there living life, but knowing that the big piece is coming after age 50. And that's when you really get to re-engage and be that role model and be the example of like how to live according to your design and show other people what's possible. So those are all of the profiles. And if you're curious, like go over to my Instagram, Human Design with Ashley, and I talked about all of them in there. Okay, let's see what comments we have here. Story of your life. You just realized both your kids are 3/5s and your husband's a 2/4. Interesting. Thank you. Yeah. Honestly, I was a little bit like bummed when I learned I was a 6'2". And the first thing I read about it, I was like, okay, well, that's not super exciting, but I've like learned to embrace it. And I'm very proud to be a 6'2" now. Like, this is my life journey, and I'm owning it. All right. Who was it up here that was going to tell us her? Kara. Okay. Your daughter's a manifester. Ooh. Your son is a generator. Your partner is a manifesting generator. Oh, it's an alert on my phone. And yeah, I'll have to look at the profiles. So here's how that's, Kara, what are you again? Are you the projector? I don't remember. So if you have all of the types playing out, you're a projector. Okay, so here's how it all works together. The manifestors are meant to initiate things. They're meant to get things started. Then the generators come in to actually do the legwork, while the projectors are guiding the whole process. They're overseeing it. They're telling people, okay, you go here, you do this, you come in here, like this is a faster way that we can do it. And the manifesting generators are also doing the work. And then the reflectors are the mirror for all of us. They're showing us how well this is going on. They're showing us what needs to change. They're showing us which pieces are like unhealthy or like not running so smooth. And this is why it's important that we all live our design, so that we can all be in our roles. And like, do you see like the potential for the magic that could happen if we're all doing these things? It makes me so happy. Okay. All right. Someone has their microphone on. I can hear it, but I don't know how to change it. Mute all. Hello. I muted you. Okay. Any questions before we move on from profiles? No questions? Okay. Let's see. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Now I'm going to talk to you about why I'm obsessed with human design, which I've kind of already done, but we're going to like, I feel like I'm just like sharing my heart and soul with y'all, my new best friends. Okay, here's why I'm obsessed with this. Human design reminds us that we're perfect and whole and worthy exactly as we are. Like, it gives us permission to be ourselves. We don't need to change anything. We don't need to make ourselves smaller. We don't need to force things or try to be anything that we aren't. For me personally, it has helped me stop trying so hard it has helped me become more confident, and it has helped me to learn how to accept myself and all of my quirks, because you guys, I told you I'm a projector. When I found that out and like learned what it actually meant, I was like, oh my God, I have been trying to initiate things. I have been forcing things. I have been like pushing way too hard and nothing has worked. And then I just end up super bitter, which is what a projector is. Like, why isn't this working? Like, I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to be doing. And then I'm exhausted. And then I'm like embarrassed that I'm exhausted, or like ashamed that I can't keep up with the rest of the world. And once I learned, like, projectors are only meant to work like 4 hours a day. They're meant to rest a lot. We're all meant to be doing things that we love, but like a projector's just meant to do that and kind of let their light shine and let people come to them. And I wasn't doing that. And so since I've learned that, and I've kind of shifted into this new role and gave myself permission to take naps. I took a nap today. I also went to yoga today, and I went on a walk today. Like, it's basically just giving you permission to be yourself and being like, you're not doing anything wrong. You're not, you don't need to force anything. You don't need to hide things about yourself. Like, I had a chart reading with my friend Carly, who's a manifestor, and she was saying how she knew that she wanted to like go do things her own way, or like basically be a manifestor. And she felt like she was like doing it wrong, and she had to stop and like follow the rules. And I was like, no, that's the problem. Like, whatever your intuition, or that internal hit of knowing whatever you feel passionate about, like, that's what you're meant to be doing. And I feel like human design just shows us that it's okay. It's okay. You're perfect the way you are. Just go do your thing. And that's going to make your life and everybody else's life so much easier. So that's why I'm obsessed with human design. Oh, it's okay. I'm glad that you're here. Yes, I will be emailing out the recording so you can catch up on everything else that you missed. Yeah. Okay. Let's go back to my screen. This is why I'm obsessed with human design. And human design, it just helps me feel, and hopefully it helps you feel all these things too. It helps me feel like understood. It helps me feel validated. Like, oh, like I feel this way. Is that okay? Yes, it's totally okay. It makes me feel accepted. It helps me feel seen. Like, you're a projector. You feel things really strongly. You have an undefined solar plexus. You're going to amplify the emotions around you. Oh my God, yes, I felt that my entire life, and human design just confirmed it, right? So I feel very seen by human design. It also helps me feel really confident, because based off of my chart and the channels that I have, I know what my gifts are. I know like what I'm here to do and how I'm meant to share. Like, all the 2 defined channels in my chart are all about creativity and inspiration, and like sales and marketing. And these are things that I felt like came very natural to me, but I was like, that can't be what I'm here to do. And then my chart just like confirmed it. So it helps me feel really confident. It helps me be able to act more purposefully. It helps me feel more at ease. It helps me get more in the flow with things. And it helps me basically feel free. Like, you don't have to be anything that you're not. Just own it. And there's so much freedom that comes with that. And that's what I want for all of us. Like, I think if we can all learn what our design is and all the little details about it, and start living in alignment with our design, we could all feel all of these things. And if we all felt all of these things, like, the world would be such a better place. When I just imagine like the ripple effect that's possible, it makes my heart so happy. So that is why, like Beatrice said, I am here for this. I'm here for all of this, and I'm not shutting up about it, because I want everyone to know about human design. So, like, oh, here we go. Forgot I made this part. Can you imagine if you learned to read your chart? Like, if you knew how to do this, and if you learned how to read your partner's chart, and your child's chart, and your parents' chart, and your friend's chart, and your coworker's chart, like, how it would help you understand them better, and then how you could share that with them and they could understand themselves better, and then how it puts less pressure on your relationships with other people and with yourself, because you're not forcing someone to be someone they're not. And if you're a business owner, how it would change your business if you knew your design and how you are meant to operate, and then how it removes all of these blocks, and how it can help you show up as the most authentic version of you. Like, can you just imagine? Can you imagine? Like, It's mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. Yeah, 2 questions about the lines. Yes. So like we were talking about before with the profile, the red and black just means if it's conscious or unconscious. So it might mean that you're not quite as aware of it, but it might not, you know. Like if you've been raised as a very creative person and that's kind of been encouraged for you, like it might feel very conscious for you, and that's awesome. So we have 2 questions about this. I'm going to go back to explain this a little bit more. So here, all of these red numbers are the unconscious numbers. So they're all going to show up as the red lines in your chart. So these are all the unconscious pieces. All of the black ones are the conscious pieces. So those are going to show up as the black lines. And if you have both, so like 36 here is red and black for me because I have a 36 that's black, and over here I have a 36 that's red. And so that's why my 36 gate is red and black. Does that make sense? Makes sense. And so here you'll see my 26 gate is black because I have 26 here, but my 44 gate is red, so it's over here. And this is the channel that's all about like sales and marketing. But honestly, like I've just kind of embraced it and been like, yeah, that's one of my natural gifts, and that's the way that I do things, and it just comes very naturally to me, even though part of it's unconscious. Like I think that's where you can like embrace it. It doesn't mean necessarily that it's not something you can ever tap into or ever understand or ever feel like it's you because it's unconscious. It just means that it's there. And I mean, I think that's an awesome thing about human design is it shows you like, oh, you have this gate here that's unconscious, but you can look up exactly what that means. Like, what is gate 16? What does that tell you about yourself? And then it just illuminates it for you, and it no longer has to be unconscious because now you're conscious of it, right? It's amazing. Amazing. Okay. So yeah, there's so many benefits to human design, you guys. And I just like, when I think of the ways that it can help us and help our relationships and our families and our careers and everything, it's just so powerful.